So I don't normally make videos in the car, and I usually sort of ignore YouTubers who make videos in cars, because it just seems like it lacks superior effort. But I was a military photographer for 20 years, and I also got trained in filmmaking in the military and got my degree in filmmaking. And long story short, as much as it seems like it's low effort to shoot in your car, it's tough to beat the acoustics in a vehicle. The acoustics, the way they wrap around it, the volume that you get, the clarity, I understand it. And then if you choose a day or a location that gives you even lighting, the car ends up being one of the best quick use remote mobile studios you're ever going to use. I just have to say that. I mean, I criticize, but there's a lot of great YouTubers that most of their content is in car, or at least half of it, a percentage of it. And this is even lighting. This looks great, and the audio is really strong, volume's high, clarity. The car videos are tough to beat, even though they're clearly kind of low effort because I'm in my car. Or anyway, it's not even my car. Another subject for another discussion. I've got so much going on. What I'm going to talk about is motivation, and it's not going to be a kid-friendly video. There will be some potty language in here. Potty language. But I want to discuss a little bit what gets people off their asses to commit to something long-term and follow through from the beginning, the middle, and the end. What really gets people motivated, not the sort of the bullshit commercial way, not something getting people off their butts that because you had to spend $200 million advertisement, but something that actually gets people, after seeing it just once or twice, to say, oh, that's for me. You know, I saw a movie where a guy was a tennis player, and I realized watching that 2-hour movie once, I want to be a tennis player. Or I watched a movie where a guy was a firefighter, and I said, wow, holy crap, holy shit, I need to be a firefighter. And it's not like when you buy a product, a Coca-Cola or Dunkin' Donuts or a specific brand of watch, or let me see, a specific brand of shoes or whatever. Because in those cases, if it's a commercial product, a lot of times you've been bombarded with the message to buy this, and if you don't buy this, you're shit, and all that stuff. You've been bombarded for a specific time, and because you fit in a specific demographic. But I'm talking about true inspiration that touches you and gets you to all right, I will be a bodybuilder. I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger or somebody else in a movie, and I just watched the movie once. I just went to the movie with my mom or my dad, and now here I am. I'm a professional bodybuilder or whatever. And the reason I'm bringing that up is for a couple of reasons. People need to get back in touch with finding out how to inspire themselves and what motivates themselves. No bullshit. Not I went to a seminar or whatever. Just people need to figure out what motivates them and how to motivate themselves, and how to do it efficiently, quietly, fast, and effectively. And the reason that's important is because we're going through unprecedented times here in the United States and by proxy the world. It's been going on for a while with the invasion of Ukraine from Russia. That was the first time there had been war, a full-scale combat inside the European theater since World War II, 70, 80 years. And then, instead of, because of economic factors, the boomers voted in a second term for Trump, and he is an avowed sort of deconstructionist with the United States government, under the sense that it's the deep state and the government that's been actually holding the U.S. back with a bunch of policies that have been keeping America down, and America just needs to return to its industrial might, and that will get us all rich and make America great again and get rid of some of these social issues. And some of it, there's some truth to that. I understand some of what the complaints were concerning progressive ideology and, an America that seemed just more competent, focused, and capable than the modern America. But let's just call it what it is. America was more competent, capable, and focused because there was only one group of people in charge, one type of motherfucker running things, and everybody had to bow and kowtow to that type of person. And everybody was on board with a concept that the government wasn't their fucking enemy. You talk about the Americans in the 1950s, there weren't whole outlets of media constantly trying to divide Americans and question what the government was doing. Eisenhower spent 10 times what people would even dream of today for the Interstate Highway Act. And don't even get me started on the space program. We put a man on the moon. So what's the difference today? Why are half the so-called conservatives, who do you think would want things to... Because the key factor of the success in the 1950s was strong leadership through the federal government. That's why we have highways. That's why we have a space program. Dumbass. But for some reason, these so-called conservatives have convinced themselves and a bunch of their follower idiots that smaller government is the way to go. Okay, fine. But the key factor to this era of success, one of them was people not questioning the goddamn government. Fuck, what are these idiots? And in that regard, and why I connect these dots, let me sort of break it down in a more sensible way. We're right now going through a moment where the unqualified Secretary of Defense, who, although he served, is basically known as being a goddamn Fox News weekend talk show host. And he, because of his loyalty and his followership, was appointed Secretary of Defense, and in an effort to sort of prove himself, you know, of course, we got to hit the Houthis. We've got to hit the Houthis, are a radical Islamic group of terrorists who have enough military ability to fire weaponry at ships in what they say is in support of Israel. So it's sort of a proxy extension of the Israeli conflict. They've been shooting at ships for the better part of 2 years now. And in order to, of course, make a case against the prior administration, the Biden administration, we're going to hit them like never before. You know, Biden was weak, I'm strong, all this other bullshit. And it doesn't really account for an escalation. It's wag the dog to sort of distract from tariffs, which is another. But what I'm getting at is this military action was actually meant to be a show of force, a show of strength, a show of power, and a distraction from some pretty dire economic news. And instead of just committing to the action and shutting the fuck up and letting the military do its thing, the dumb fucking Secretary of Defense went on an unclassed, less than a month after the Pentagon issued advanced instructions on how to do this shit, went on an unclassed, and you've got the president's top advisors on an unclassed signals, an unclassed platform talking details about an imminent U.S. attack. It's against the goddamn law. But why does this matter? They're spinning it, of course. Fox News, the conservatives, they're spinning it all to be like, to basically say that the reporter, they invited a reporter onto this unclassed platform, and they're spinning it to say that this reporter somehow coerced and finagled himself using desperate means onto this platform, and he's a bad person and he did it, and he used unsavory means to include himself and then publish this just to make the president look bad, blah blah blah. So in other words, instead of they questioned the Secretary of Defense on his pure stupidity with and the entire Trump administration with inviting this person onto the platform, and a platform that they shouldn't have been using. It's a scandal. And I get it, you know, a lot of you guys are civilians who don't know a goddamn thing about SIPRNet, NIPRNet, TSSCI, SCIFs, all that other shit. But you do get it that certain pieces of information don't belong in the open. Everybody understands that concept, but apparently not Fox News and their followers and these MAGA cult idiots. Because Fox News is spinning this shit to be something that is an accident on their part, or that evil reporter snuck his way onto there. And then I realized, it was like, who would buy that shit? Who would be so ignorant of modern technology that bullshit fucking excuse would play out. And then I realized it. The fucking baby boomers. The people who are so unfamiliar with their goddamn phones. The people who aren't up on current technology and their goddamn phones confuse the shit out of them. The people who apparently don't know the difference between Apple and Android. Like, what the fuck? The people who don't have basic skills. And because they're still here, they don't seem to want to shuffle off this mortal coil. And most of them are voting conservative. Don't even get me started on it. The boomers are fucking it up for everybody. And they don't know a goddamn thing about a goddamn thing. Other than they want their social security check and they want to eat whatever the fuck they want. I work with a bunch of them. And they are a fucking anchor on this goddamn society with their fucking entitlement and their fucking stupidity and the fact that they'll believe any goddamn thing they hear from the conservative fucking media. And they probably are eating this shit up that the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, through some conspiracy, was able to force and coerce himself his way onto an unclassed, onto a conversation that shouldn't have even been happening between people who run the fucking national security apparatus. Who would buy that? Goddamn baby boomers. Again, fucking it up again. And what is so disappointing about the baby boomers is that, back in the 50s, the heyday, when they were children, there was a great thing that I always thought was really cool. Walt Disney's The Mickey Mouse Club. Frankie Avalon, Annette Funicello, and all the others, those are the ones that really made, as children would have this daily show. It's like a kid's show. MICKEYMOUSC, Mickey Mouse, and all that. And it was about teaching children to join together and to unify and be joiners and support each other and help each other. And people don't realize, in a way, it was totally innocent, commercial, 1950s Americana fun, but it was also trying to teach you to be a joiner, cooperate, work with each other, all right? Same thing with the Boy Scouts. Now, all those institutions, thanks to progressives, liberals, those institutions came under attack in the 90s, thanks to dumb fucking Democrats. Boy, don't you guys feel like fucking idiots. And Democrats still haven't figured this shit out, by the way, that they're as much part of the problem. But there's nothing wrong with a little bit of, not indoctrination, but teaching children to be proud of their country and to be joiners and to volunteer. Service, that's what my fucking shirt is. That's what this is. You can't see that. Service before reward. SB4R. Service before reward. Give something before you expect something, you entitled motherfucker. Because you don't deserve a goddamn thing. No one's going to hand you shit because you're a victim. But now that for some reason, and the boomers are just the worst of it, that's the fucking expectation in America. And the boomers are leading the charge of this shit. Give something before you expect something. Because you don't deserve anything. Nobody cares how much you think you deserve it. You don't. Service before reward. And now, these fucking fuck-up 70, 80-year-old people have got it in their fucking craw that Canada and Mexico and have been mean to us, and actually China is our friend, whatever the hell it is Trump is pushing. They're going along with it because they're seeing that they weren't getting the financial reward and understanding that they thought they were promised. So they're just willing to cult up and, MAGA up and believe whatever that motherfucker's telling them. And they're allowing all sorts of hell and damnation. And these motherfuckers aren't even long to live. They've got 10, 12 years, 15 tops, while the rest of us, the generations after them, are going to have to deal with the fallout of all their shit, up to and including, if not a civil war, a fucking World War III, just because a bunch of old motherfuckers who are too just medicated enough not to fucking die, but dumb enough to believe everything. I mean, the shit that comes out of their mouths, the motherfuckers that I work with, it's unbelievable. They are the MAGA. The fucking old people. There's a lot of younger people in there. I mean, when you look at videos on The Daily Show or the late night talk shows or whatever, you're going to see a lot of MAGA people in their 40s and whatnot. But the true core voting, outside of some weird swings that happened against Kamala, and I don't want to get into all that shit, you know, Hispanics, fuck you, Cubans, fuck you, and now you're being deported, and fuck you, exactly what you deserve. You voted for that shit. But this is mostly a boomer phenomenon. Mostly people in their 70s and 80s. The foundation of it. Entitled Americans who don't know how shit really works. And the consequences of this stuff just seems to be slowly doling itself out. It doesn't seem to be something that's happening with any real speed. You know, everybody's sort of like, oh, I'm doing fine. Everybody is feeling that as long as they themselves aren't in pain, fuck everybody else, which is great. That's how fascism took over Germany. But anyway, how do we get out of this shit? We separate the fucking old people from the technology, number one, and we have to re-educate everybody. Everybody's got to be re-indoctrinated into what is really a value and what stands for. This shit with the Secretary of Defense fucking up, and you know, because it's a double standard, the fact that they won't get harmed, and military officers and military people are finally waking out of their conservative stupor and realizing, wow, these people are shit, because they have talked about unclassed shit that should have been on SIPRNet in a skiff, on NIPRNet, on some unclassed shit, and they don't even have a TSA. Like, it's insane. And again, I'm sorry, those acronyms don't mean anything. They talked about secrets that they shouldn't have been unclassified. Wow, there's just so much. People keep parking here. We have to re-educate those people, save the ones we can, and the rest have to be cut off. You know, it's a fight, is what I'm saying. We've got to fight harder, because if we don't fight these fucking people, we will end up shoveling dog shit that they left behind as they just shuffle off this moral coil. Because the hilarious thing is that the boomers are old as shit. They're all poised to die in the next 10 fucking years, 15 fucking years. Whether they get their health care or their factories, make them, what we need to do is build shit in America again, as if that's going to happen over a weekend, motherfucker. On again, off again tariffs will not make factories sprout up like fucking mushrooms over the fucking night. It takes billions of dollars, $500 million to $1 billion to build a factory in a fucking decade, dumbass. And they just are buying off on this shit like, oh yeah, we just need to, you know, every dumb old white guy whose dick doesn't work is pissed off at the world. We just need to build shit here. Well, yeah, but you're not angry about us not building shit here. You're gonna die in 15 years. You're angry because your dick doesn't work. And your granddaughter and great-granddaughter probably fucking a black guy. I mean, the fuck over all this shit. And you don't... The rest of the world will burn because of these dumb motherfuckers. It has to be stopped. We need to empower ourselves. The world is changing drastically anyway. And we're not cursed with living in dull times. I've gone way more than way longer than I would have talked about ideally. There's some other things I want to get into. But we need to be strong, and we need to be persistent, and we need to turn this into the progressive people, the anti-Trumpers need their own movement. Some sort of tea party, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and it needs to happen post-haste. It needs to happen post-haste before shit gets, we enter a point of no return. It needs to happen right now. I'll do another video, part 2.